So, bienvenidos, Satnam. Welcome back to New Rich New Energy podcast. We're on number 1 4, the Big 14. And again, had to bring back this brother, amazing brother of truth here. We have Mr. J. Rawzen in the building, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome, brother. How you doing?
Man, I am always mystical and grateful, and I am grateful that people like you are here, because one of our biggest, I would say, conversations is the fact that walking the path and what it really means to walk the path is to go out in the streets, right, and to really make an impact on people who are suffering. And pop culture has popped a lot of people who are awake in their heads, right? So it's great that we can watch something and make connections, and it's cute, and see someone do a dance, right? Like the hustler on the street. But we must remember that the streets are there and people are suffering. And I'm grateful that you and I are actually doing things. We're going out in the world and wanting to heal people and help them from, having suicidal thoughts. And we're here to elevate. We're not here to just do videos, right? Like this is
Right.
like our ancestors did stuff. They built stuff.
Yeah, we're actually here, like you said, we're here, you guys, to heal ourselves and then in return help others heal. That's what it's all about. It's unity, it's one consciousness, it's one. And we actually have Ariel Santana who might be joining us here later in the podcast. But like you said, I want to give a big special shout out to everybody who's watching. Thank you guys, because you already know when you come to this podcast, you're going to get the truth. We thank you for your reception. We thank you for your loyalty. We thank you for your heart and your openness. And we do this because we want to help. We're not out here just doing podcasts and, you know, two brown skinned brothers just talking crazy. And that's not what it's about. We're actually out here trying to share some truths that we're discovering that's going to help humanity move forward in this evolution process. So go right ahead, Mr. Rosin, whatever you got on. We've been conversating here for a while here. Got
Yeah.
some good concepts, but however you want to take it, you got the floor, brother.
Well, I appreciate it. Well, I would want to start with okay, the vegan movement. I'm learning that it's wonderful that people want to change their diet, but I'm noticing that in this community, there's a lot of discrimination if you're an astrologer and you make deeper connections with the animal and how it's sacred and how the animal relates to a star system. And so we must go back to square one with what these terms mean. So vegan would come from Vega. Okay, once again, Vega is a star system. Now, how does Vega relate to us? With the Vega nerve, the vagus, right? Now, it's funny how it's called Lost Vegas.
Hmm.
And you and I are speaking about how we're supposed to be at a higher octave now, but we're stuck in the 7 pH neutral, sort of generic in the middle of negative and positive. Is there anything else to the human consciousness that can rise to what we were talking about, a 9 or a Nava or a Navajo or a Nova Scotia, right? How do we ascend past this sort of, well, I'm just going to be here and not really active and just kind of alchemize both and not try to burn from out of this flesh and go to a higher place? It would be to know what the terms mean. So to any individual who's an atheist, big thing, I understand, or an anarchist, I was just talking to a young lady who had a reptile in her hand, walking down the street, was seeing me speak to somebody else about truth, heard the way that I was talking and my vibration, because I'm inclusive. I don't pick a side. I alchemize all the human energy. And she got what I was saying. And it turned out she was an atheist, but the way that I was putting her body parts into the astrology, meaning the solar plexus. If you're a vegan who doesn't believe in astrology, okay. If you're an atheist who doesn't believe in God, okay. Let's just review these words because it's a big problem. Because these movements mean well, but while they mean well, someone else has to get sick still and get discriminated against, which is just as bad as racism. You see where I'm going, or sexism, right? The truth community should have no barriers, no blockages, right? There shouldn't be any point in the truth community where it's, oh, you can't, it's like, no, let me let you come in there. Even if I don't agree with you, I'm going to expand and elevate your number 7 and go to your number 9, like you and I were speaking about, so we can figure out, why is the human stuck? This is a good point. Why are we stuck? And I want that version. I'm this. And if you come in with something more and expand upon me, not only will I be intimidated by you or want to push you away, but I take it personally. I've had my work taken down by vegans on their pages because I associate the anatomy with astrology with the animal. I'll give you an example. I found a dead rabbit outside of my house, and I filmed myself taking the rabbit off the grass, and I put it into the river, and I gave it a mantra, and I gave it a blessing. So I went to a Vegans of Iowa page on Facebook, and God bless Iowa and vegans. And so I put this post, I do these things with pictures and images, and I make a montage. So I showed the dead rabbit, okay? And then I showed that zodiac means the circle of little animals. And then I would put in the solar plexus. You see where I'm going here? So I'm showing that when this animal dies, the star systems themselves are also, they must be getting tired and drained because the sky did not have stars at first. There was nothing, it was blackness. We must know this. This is what Buddhists will tell you. It's all an illusion. It's not really there, but it manifested itself. And we are lucky in this age as humans, in this era, with the Ethernet, with the ability to just research someone's solar plexus, to know what vegan means, to go to etymology. None of our ancestors had the ability to do that. And we must remember to humble ourselves because our ancestors could build pyramids that we can't figure out, ironically. They were building temples you see, I'm going into mountains, carving things that we can't figure out today. And yet, now watch me cook this. You mean to tell me a white Jesus Christ came out of nowhere, or a colonist, or some demonic energy following us with cannons and gunpowder, and whooped martial artists who could punch holes and lift buildings and put their head through metal, and know astrology, and were psychic gurus that could levitate and didn't eat any animals? You see where I'm going here? We have been losing the battle even with our incredible inventions. And so it takes me back to now. If you are in any movement and you call yourself, well, use vegans. I'm not attacking vegans. Great, you don't eat meat, but you can't just stop there. That's what gives you cancer. That's when the cells and the brain don't get the oxygen to dance. What is syncing something? What is syncretism? But you and me here, you're living in Utah, I'm in Iowa, but we're doing the dance together and we're syncing hot and cold and we're making it maybe lukewarm. Oh, maybe I want to boil that, not chill out. Now I want to get it cold so I can, you see where I'm going? There's diversity in how nature works. And for some reason, it's the one elephant in the room that our ancestors did not know very well. They knew how to write a book. They knew how to make sutras. But did it work? No, we have McDonald's. We have a divide. And yeah, we have Republicans and Democrats. We have vegans. We have the LGBTQ. Okay, we have Roe versus Wade. We have all this noise. And no one says, hey, can we slow down and look at the simplicity and think like a child? Now we get into the Roe versus Wade thing. Now I understand the intention. I understand women go through a lot of hell. I get it. I'm not attacking that. But when does life start? Good question. And what makes a sperm? Good question. And is sperm a living thing? Yes. What is the ovary but a living energy already? So it's ironic. What happens here is they are training us to tenderize ignorance, to tenderize the acceptance of, I'm going to use this word, murder, self-loathing, anyone but me. I'm a groupie now. I'm going to watch someone do that, but I can't do that. If I'm a vegan, you have to be a vegan like this. If I'm an astrologer, you got to be one like this. If I'm a yogi, what is that? If I'm ignorant and I'm suicidal and I'm desperate and I got nothing, no family, how is that going to help me? Now I pass the mic to you.
Amazing point, because that's the energy, or one of the energies or frequency, as we can see with our eyes every day. There's a lot more. I wouldn't say there's a lot more, but there's definitely division within a unity movement, and it just doesn't make any sense, because just like you said, I had an experience myself with someone who was vegan for the animals. Amazing, beautiful, right? If that's your truth into being a vegan, that's your path.
Mhm.
But it was something along the lines where she was advertising these vegan processed foods that were like 2 for 1, and me doing my research, because I like to get down to the biochemical level of things, to understand things for myself, me being personally not a non-meat eater. I was letting her know, look, yeah, it's like a band-aid. They're selling you something, but it's processed, so it's still harmful to your body. And she just attacked me. I
Yeah,
was like, whoa. And I was like, and then I didn't understand it because I was just trying to share a truth with you that, you're vegan for the animals, but now you're picking and choosing. And I think that's where the problem lies. People want to pick and choose in a position when we shouldn't be picking and choosing. You see what I'm saying?
right.
If that's the issue there. Like,
Yes,
and just like you
yes,
said, I believe we're just stuck in just energies that are just played out, and we need to come over here. You know what I
yeah,
mean? We need to be more receptive instead of more instinctual. You know what I mean?
yes.
More so.
Well, let's just keep it 100. 120 million people are exposed to lead poison since childbirth. Did you know this? Yeah. Now, I also find it ironic that when I share fact based montages, like images, I show you the FDA says there's lead and cadmium in your baby food, that there's lead in your paint. Okay. So if we're going to get real, right? Whatever we're deciding to be, you want to be this, you want to be an anarchist, you want to be an atheist, you want to be an astrologer, you want to be a vegan, you want to be whatever you want. We need to slow down and look at what are we surrounded by in our apartments that have been there since childhood that is not only affecting your health, but affecting you to unify. What does lead do to your brain cells?
Mm.
And how much of that are we inhaling? And how many levels are in your paint do you even know? How many paints does the person making your house have lead in it? And how much is in that? Now, that's a good question because instead of protesting, once again, Roe versus Wade, or animal rights, or any kind of right, or Black lives, or gay lives, we're all being aborted while we are living right now in our apartments, in the paint. That is the elephant in the room. So it's very convenient, isn't it? That all of a sudden we get these variants, a variant, a variant. And it's just, watch this. A virus knows how to unify with another damn bacteria to kill us, yes or no? If we thought like the virus did, my brother, you and I and the whole movement would be on fire. You see, your viruses seem to be very good at liking chemicals and mutating. See where I'm going?
Mm.
Mutation, the X-Men, the mutants, the X people, the skull and boners. No one cares, right, to decode that stuff, but that's your twin, so be careful. They relate to us, but we're a higher octave, right? So when we look at these chemicals and how much we're surrounded by that, we have to remember we have a lot of detoxing, mental, not just physical. We have brain and literally debating detoxing to do because the chemicals are also getting into your head. So then now that you have a movement, you've been exposed to so many things that have made you backwards that you didn't realize to detox from. That when me and Raphael come in, cleaning ourselves, I mean, I've done the work. I've gone up my colon. I've done the urine thing. I've done it. I mean, a lot of folks in the truth community, they still frown upon an enema. They're like, oh, an enema. I'm like, yeah. What do you think the colonists were? How do you think they constantly get us every century to be slaves, for lack of a better word? We think we're free. We have a job. I'm not free if I have to go to work and pay bills. Simple.
Because the word job in Hebrew means slave. Like,
Exactly.
they tell you.
Exactly.
They tell
Going
you.
right back to that point. Exactly. So now we have these good intentions, right? To have this movement, right? Now this we'll call ourselves vegans and blah 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 blah. But if I go to astrology, now I'm going to go into. I had a customer who I did not know. I think he's an atheist or some kind of thing like this, but he's a vegan, right? Now, if you're a vegan who's overweight, I have compassion, but I have questions. Okay, if you look like you still eat cheeseburgers and you call yourself a vegan, there's something wrong. Now, I've had customers call me skinny. You look skinny, older women. And I'm like, well, I don't eat meat. And she told me, well, I don't eat meat. And look at me. And she was fat. Now, do you see what I'm trying to say? And I'm like, well, this is what I'm going to start doing. When they say, hey, you look skinny, I'm going to say, you know what? I have cancer. Yeah, mind your business. It's none of you. You leave my body alone. Because if I look at your body, you know what you're going to do? First of all, I'm a black man, right? And you're a white lady, right? You're going to think, oh, he's doing that thing. No. So I had a customer. I mentioned numerology. I was scanning his food. My number appeared. It was like 155, and it was amazing. I said, oh my man, I want to show you something. But then I said this. I said, but oh, I don't think you believe in magic because he made a comment about about numerology or something like that, where he said it wasn't real, right? So I said, but yeah, but you don't really believe in this stuff, and you probably get afraid of this. He said, man, there's nothing to fear with magic, because there is no magic. This magic isn't a real thing. And then I was like, well, then what's the sun then in the sky? And he just laughed nervously. Right. What's the sun doing if there is no mystical illusion, but there is something called a movie? You mean to tell me you watch a movie, you laugh at it, you react to a light in a box, okay? An artificial light, and you spend your entire week talking about what Will Smith did, or Dave Chappelle, or Chris Rock, or Busta Rhymes, whoever the hell is in the damn news, or Johnny Depp, or Amber Heard, whatever. You mean to tell me that that light can get you so focused that now I say to you, oh my gosh, this magical number appeared and it's Cancer and Virgo and the sun, and you're like, that's bullshit. And you call yourself a vegan. So what is the vegan now? Is vegan meaning I just do not eat animals and I'm not gonna listen to anything else you have to say? That's not a vegan then. That's an arrogant, ignorant person who has chosen to change their diet.
That's it. Point blank. That's it.
Real motherfucking talk, yo,
That's it.
in this.
That's it.
I'm sorry. And then all this, and they feel so. What I love about it too is like when they say vegan, I can see they feel like they're a part of a family, like it's like a revolution to them. And I'm like, no, revolution is this, and we got to get hip. Like you're a very fit person, and it looks like you might know how to handle yourself in a fight. I'm sure you probably had to deal with some shit, and we have.
Back in the day. Back in the
Of
day.
course you do. Of course, my man. You're Puerto Rican, right? Of course you've been through some shit. So we get it. So we have to remember, we have to also look at the street people because they're the ones that are the Mayans. They will die for you. Okay. Your presidents, I've done this in my YouTube live, your presidents and your prime ministers, Putin will not die with his homies. So shame on the Russian soldiers for dying for him, and shame on the Ukrainian soldiers for dying for that damn president who was doing drag as a comedian in the Ukraine. And you mean to tell me you're gonna die for someone who won't die with you? Now you know what gang culture is like. You know the street code. You know it is what it is. If we're gonna go do this, we're all ready for what? To sacrifice. I am not promoting that, but dude, we'd be foolish to think that, oh, it's just about, I'm gonna do a podcast and I'm gonna talk about veganism and here's some Beyond burgers and some Beyond sausage and Beyond meatballs and Beyond steroids and Beyond birth control. What?
Beyond chemicals.
Beyond human. Beyond, I
Yeah.
mean, dude, we have to go to nature. Everything you need is in the ground anyways. Like, soy mio, solo mio is Italian or something like this. We have soy to the world. Everyone is soying it up. Now, here's the thing about soy and plastic that I think is interesting. To jump ship a bit, hippocampus, if you look up the hippocampus, it is the plastic part of the brain. So now I want your theory now, because I've heard some things about soy. Do you think that there is some soy that could be useful for the natural plastic that we have in our hippocampus? Or is soy just a complete devil plant?
Yeah, they say it's a hybrid. Now, whether it can help the hippocampus, like you said, because it is I see the correlation that you're saying. I don't even have an answer for that. I would have to do some study. But from what I understand, the way it's created in its constitution of energy and its biochemistry, it is a hybrid. So
Gotcha.
anything that is a hybrid is not natural, but just like we've talked about the broccoli. you know,
Yes. It's funny. I have another buddy who he eats broccoli sprouts, and I forgot to tell him. And I found him through Santos. It's so funny. I bumped into three different people today who all knew Santos, and they met me as a cashier. And I'm in the middle of the street talking real truth to one atheist with a reptilian female, and she was a Taurus. And the more I started talking about just the anatomy, okay, so never mind the veganism, never mind is magic real. Magic is that person doesn't believe, and now they do believe because you spoke in a way they could understand. She even told me, she's like, yo, just, I don't know, the way you speak, I got it. And I'm going to actually think about changing my diet and I'm going to stop eating chickens.
that's dope.
I said, cool. I said, and
That's dope.
that's what I want. That's all I care about. You know, the YouTube videos are cute, but inconsistent likes and views. When I go to the magical world, I'm always taking risks. I get it. I'm a diverse person. I always have been. So here's the reality: what you do in the street is what will help you ascend in death. Meeting someone, talking and connecting, finding a way to translate whatever you agree or don't agree, it doesn't matter. An alchemist, hybrid, we'll use hybrid as alchemy. A true alchemist that can make a good hybrid to help you, like I'm a hybrid, I'm white, black, Cape Verdean, Irish, everything is in me, right? And I'm natural, I'm a mix. A real alchemist knows how to put the disagreement with the agreement and to make something and to change someone's life.
That's it. That's it. And what you're explaining too. Oh, we have Ariel and Santana. They coming into the building, y'all.
Hallelujah.
Can you guys hear us?
Yep,
Hey,
I
hey,
can
Miss
hear you.
Ariel. Welcome.
Hello.
Welcome.
How you guys doing?
We here getting it in.
Oh, really?
Playing games. We're mystical and grateful. We're talking about getting things done, and just people that have pages and movements that are discriminating when you want to elevate and add to it. So I'm adding astrology, not
Mhm.
my astrology, our divine in the anatomy. And so we were mentioning vegans. I'm having a problem with vegans. They're taking down my work. Yeah, when I add astrology and the anatomy to an animal and how it's precious and how we can see our diet and the way our movements are all associated with stars. Didn't come from my page. I'm a vegan. I love animals. No, it came from zodiac, right? It means the
Mhm.
circle or the cipher we're having right now of little animals.
Mhm.
It's interesting because this would also be the new nigga treatment. The new black is, well, I'm this movement and you're.
No, listen, Santana and I heard you talking about that. Let me see if I can flip this around. Maybe it'll be a little better. And I was watching your last live when you were talking about that, and I was like, man, that sounds just like Santana, because he has done a whole thing explaining to people like, y'all like the Karen thing, like, don't let this get out of hand, because that is the new nigga. Like, the nigga is how a person is treated. It's a behavior. It has
Yes.
nothing to do with a color. So
Yes.
it's like, you guys are gonna be in some really, really big trouble, and you guys don't even realize it. It's so crazy, because I know exactly what you mean, because I have to deal with Twitter throughout the day, which is extremely obnoxious, honestly. I mean, don't get me wrong, you have a few people who you can, have some dialogue with, but I got to tell you, it's grueling. I don't even know how people want to do it, first off. And you see people's processing, and it's like everybody everybody can have a lot of boxes checked off, but you find that when something gets questioned about an aspect of that processing that's taking place, it's like people take a firm position in whatever they're doing, and they won't even look at it, and they won't even address it, because they know they can't address
That's
it.
what we're just talking about, picking and choosing.
Yeah. So no,
Picking and choosing.
I'm with you. I completely get it. I completely like I tell Santana, I say, I'm consistent with mine. My whole thing is I pretty much agree with a lot of what different people's opinions are. And believe it or not, I gotta tell you, the MAGA community, honestly, if you look at what they're fighting for, it's like you can't complain about it. But then when you have to challenge the kinks in their processing, you just don't hear anything. And my whole thing is, listen, let's just address the real problem. The real problem is the sex trafficking that is funding this whole thing. Like, you know how slavery funded the foundation of how America was built? Well, this sex trafficking is slavery. These children, these girls, these boys, these men, these every species that you can think of that you are connected to are literally enslaved. And we all know it. And we all know that all of our politicians are participating in it. And even if they want to say, I'm not actually touching anything, you know about it, which is worse. So as long as people want to tiptoe around that and play red and blue and rah-rah this and rah-rah that, nobody can get past me with that. Nobody can fix that for me. You know, where is a mugshot of Ghislaine Maxwell? Why are there only caricatures of courtroom pictures of this woman? I don't believe this woman has been arrested. I don't believe they had any court proceeding or anything like that. They're already trying to make it seem like they're going to minimize her sentencing by 10 years. And this woman, I'm telling you, nothing happened. This is a whole smoke screen. This whole thing, they got that case done right at the last, wasn't it like New Year's Eve? Like literally to the last day of the year.
Who is this? You know what? I'm a bit ignorant. School me a bit on this, because I know that there's a Johnny Depp and Amber Heard thing happening at the same time. I heard this is also distracting from this thing.
Oh,
so
yeah.
Tell me
Absolutely.
about the Maxwell. Give me more, because I'm a bit ignorant with that. What is
Ghislaine Maxwell was Jeffrey Epstein's girl, his right-hand man and his woman. Okay. Do you know who Jeffrey Epstein was?
Yeah, I'm with you. Yep.
Okay. All right. Biggest sex trafficking person known to humanity that we know of anyway, because everybody else we still don't know their name. Right. But this guy we know is responsible for all the people that were dealing with the Victoria's Secret agencies, the adoption agencies that the Clintons are dealing with, all of that kind of stuff. We all know, I'm sorry, sweetie. We all know he knows how heated I get about this. And it's just so crazy that you guys were talking about this, because this is what I've been like, kind of like in the dumps about the past couple of days, because I'm just like, where is your humanity? Like, everybody, get your shit together. Like, these are children. They're children. Yeah. You want to talk about 2,000 mules and you got all this surveillance to look at some fucking voting boxes when it's children missing, and you just can't have, there's no way to figure this out, right? You got blue light cameras in every city. You can find enough footage to get a nigga locked up, but you can't find a child. Children scream and they kick and they fight when they don't want to go somewhere.
Right.
They have a post that we could track a piece of paper. We should be able to track a kid.
You know, and we're all going to pretend that we don't know that all of our politicians are involved. So my whole thing is, why do you want these people in control of you when you know that they know what's going on? I don't care about Elon Musk buying Twitter.
Right.
You know what? I don't care about that because he's in a picture with Ghislaine Maxwell too.
Right.
People want to ignore that. I don't. I post it just in case to refresh your memory. Explain why you're around these people. Where are the children?
Well, once again, didn't this man said that he drove a car into space? X.
Oh my God! Exactly.
Right. Well, so we already know that this is a dance. And it does sink in with what me and Raphael were talking about in terms of being distracted, not only being distracted, but then if you're someone who's supposed to be an activist and actively talking about real truth, going out in the streets to help someone, first of all, be aware of what you just said about children, hallelujah, but also be aware of the mental health today and the suicide rates and the low self-esteem. That in itself is making us distracted from even being aware of children. Because most of the parents or people who are raising these kids are watching television, watching the special effects, believing in it, and then they make a page, a vegan page, astrology page, I'm a this page, I'm an ancient wisdom page. But then I come in with astrology and your anatomy and how you're magic and how you're infinite, and then discrimination ensues. And it's this divide and conquer still, even in the truth community, Which then now I'm looking at it and I'm like, yeah, it's hilarious because we're not really woke. We're still
No, we're
We're
not.
still
We're not.
sleepwalking.
We had a conversation today, me and Ariel, and we were just thinking about how hilarious it was. And being down here in South America, you get to see a crazy perspective because they're getting the system introduced to them. So we get to see how we were acting as children when we were trying to integrate into their system. So I'm watching them make fools of themselves, essentially. What's funny is we got into the flat earth movement, and the only thing that came, and I'm not into, and just for the record, our movement is vision. The gift of sight is an absolute right. We believe that everyone on the planet should have the ability to see.
And we believe women shouldn't be exploited.
Yeah.
And women should be able to sustain a lifestyle for themselves and not have to be in a terrible relationship with somebody because they got to stay there for the kids because they can't afford it. Women don't have to try to travel through borders and getting raped.
Yeah, everything's
a lot of
connected.
things get fixed.
Everything's connected. I've gotten myself into some very hairy fights that I have no desire to be involved in. But walking this world for this past 40 some years, right? When I was a kid, I watched crack hit. We're around all of the same age, so we also were crack this for our community immediately. And when the people was coming to our communities, prostituting the women who used to be stand-up citizens in our community, we were watching that shit, asking the men, what are you going to do? And what could we do? We was kids. We didn't know. All we knew was the women we were looking up to a week prior is now sucking somebody's penis in a car. It happened that fast. And we were saying, hey, man, what are these men going to do, right? And then you realize that the men aren't going to do anything. And here's the thing. 40 years passed. And all the same shit that I saw when I was a kid is keep going on with different faces.
Yeah.
Just like the seasons.
And it dawned on me. You know what?
Yeah.
Clearly, nobody's going to do anything about this.
Nope.
I met Santos. Where we met Santos is my son was vaccine damaged. And we called Santos, and he introduced us to this cat named Christian, who has this cancer machine down in Puerto So we went and met with Santos, and Santos is a beautiful guy. But our meeting with Santos was very, very brief because we worked at the clinic.
Yeah, we just stayed with the clinic. Yeah.
We love what y'all do.
Yeah.
We're learning about astrology through y'all. But our path is
healing. It's mainly healing. And when we find that someone has a problem, like Jay, you don't understand, we're spending
all night.
We're spending real time trying to figure out your situation.
We
take these things very personally, and we're not looking for anything. All we're trying to do is find answers so we can continue, so no one has to hurt, because it's ridiculous.
When we went to Puerto Morales, I don't know if you know Christian and those folks, but he has a machine. He has a Tesla coil that he created that kills the parasites in your body.
Right.
It basically it's a God machine because it's literally pure light, but he amps it up.
The video of you, by the way, that you sent me, that's deep.
Okay, so we got down there, and we saw this man who has a machine that's curing cancer and removing tumors. So he couldn't get any funding. So what do? Answer simple. I've been sitting around for 40 fucking years waiting for a man to just do something, do the right thing. And nobody's doing the right thing. So the reason why I'm fighting in a damn prison, and I'm fighting in India, and I'm fighting in Mexico is because every time we go somewhere, we're in a room full of women. It's 400 women saying yes, and one man gets to say no on the behalf of all of them. And no man is big enough or strong enough or tough enough to say, man, get the fuck out of the way. I'm talking to them.
Wow.
Yeah, now this is real talk. This is what's really going on in the world.
This is
Right.
what we do. What's going on? Women missed the whole point. What's going on in India with all the rapes? India, if you've had the opportunity to look at Afghanistan and Lebanon
I have,
and
yeah.
Iran in 1960 and 1970, it looked like cosmopolitan New York City.
Yep.
But every time you have a war, you're supporting sex trafficking of children.
Every
Right.
time.
I was at an organization called the Global Children on the Move. And I was even tricked into being part of a situation I had no idea that was stealing children. They had a plan to basically, because they didn't want illegal immigrants from Syria to be able to come into Europe, they said, well, we're going to just say, let the children come in, because no one wants to be mean enough to say no to the children. And once the children come in, we can anchor in the parents, was the strategy. So I was like, beautiful. But I had no idea.
You're separating a family.
You understand?
Yeah.
I had no idea. So there's systems taking place, things are going on publicly, and everybody is
these
silent.
Foundations that everybody gets so pretty for, and they get all these photographers to take pictures of them because they're supporting this. They're not supporting anything.
And the thing about it is niggerish as I
well, I'm sorry, they are supporting something. They're supporting the sex trafficking of the children. And I have to keep emphasizing, and I'm telling you, I do this shit on Twitter all day long. I swear to God, because I got one message, because my whole thing is, if you fix that, everything's broken. I lied to you not. Just that.
That's it. And if you give a child, because you understand in places like Thailand, when fathers are selling their 10-year-old boys, you know, it's a prostitution. And when in Vietnam and the places they went, you got men there saying, you know, they're happy to have daughters. Like when you have a daughter, you're lucky. Oh, you're lucky you have a daughter because you're going to be able to prostitute her.
Right. That's income.
That's income now.
Look at this. You don't even have to go. It's happening here in the United States. My daughter was watching a documentary called Child Brides, and I just got put onto something a couple of days ago where there's a loophole in our legal system here where there's a waiver that it doesn't matter what age the child is, you can sign the waiver and you can have them married to somebody who's 20. There's a pastor who was 30 years old who married an 11-year-old because they signed the waiver.
Wow. That's my whole point. That's my whole point. Women, they've done such a good job at exploiting me and you, Rafa, and you, Jay, that we sitting back like, damn, that's terrible. We all niggas. But women don't realize inadvertently they have been put in a terrible situation that men cause destructive wars that are unnecessary. And each time they cause a war, it means that they have to run, and they have to run with their children. And every time a war takes place, women and children run, and women and children are getting exploited. So
not to cut you off there, but we got like 15 seconds. If it's cool with everybody, I'm gonna resend the link and.
Yes, please.
All right, let's do it.
Dig it.
All right.
Wow, very good build.
Hey.
Oh yeah. This is my passion. This is my passion.
This is our life.
Yeah.
This is why I'm looking crazy. This is why, if I told y'all about my haircut experience.
Man, you looking good though, man. I see the hair.
Yeah,
I see you out here. I see.
Wait.
I see you out here.
Wait, there's more. It's a sad. This is a sad story. It's not a happy ending. It's sad. It's so sad.
Well, at least you ain't going bald, damn it. Woo! Watch it.
Facts. No, but like you said, it's all about healing. That's why I went out to Utah to learn a method of healing to help people with their